What's up, dudes and dudettes, all you awesome people? Welcome to the Geeky Heathen channel. I am Glen, aka the Geeky Heathen. Herewith, finally got around to it, my book review. The next book review for Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time series, Book 2, The Great Hunt. This is a spoiler-free review. Don't worry, spoiler-free from Book 2 onwards. Book 1? There be spoilers. So if you haven't read Book 1, leave a link in the description down below. Pop up here, ba-ding. You can go ahead and follow that if you want to. If you're not interested in the Wheel of Time series, then I recommend you listen to at least one review. Give it a go. Or, if not, just thanks for stopping by. Leave me a thumbs up on the way out. See you later. But, moving on, let's dive into this review. I changed my tactics up for this. I have less and less time to physically read a book. I'm just so busy. My schedule is out of this world. But I started using Audible. Not sponsored. But hey, Amazon, hook me up. Not sponsored, but Audible. I don't know why it took me so long to get around to signing up for it. It's an amazing service. I can listen to an audiobook whilst I'm at work. I can listen to an audiobook whilst I'm in the car. I can listen to an audiobook whilst I'm travelling somewhere, when I'm out walking, when I'm at home doing the housework. It's amazing. I can listen to all my favourite books and some new books, and I can do it in a time that I've never thought I'd be able to read a book. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. But this isn't a plug for Audible, unless Amazon, you want to hook me up, yeah? Okay. This is my spoiler-free book review for Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, Book 2, The Great Hunt. This book kicks off a few weeks, possibly a few months actually, after the end of the first book. What an ending to the first book. Those Emmenfielders, after being whisked away by their village by an Aes Sedai, chased all across the world by the Dark One and these evil forces, it acclimatizes in a battle at the legendary Eye of the World. And in its battle, a few of the Forsaken are loosed. Uh-oh. And it's also discovered that Rand al'Thor can channel the power. He can channel into the male half of the true source, the tainted half of the true source, the half where all men who channel his power are destined to go mad and destroy those around them. So, what an ending for that book. This starts a few months after this, it does, and I really love this book. It's possibly one of my favourite books in the series. Yeah. I love the pacing of this book, and I like the feel. The first book feels like a homage. I should really learn to pronounce words correctly. It feels like a homage to classic fantasy writers of old, and that's what Robert Jordan set out to do. That's what it feels like. This second book, it has more of a touch and a feel of Robert Jordan. To me, it feels like he's really put his essence into it, and this book is written so differently, and I really, really like the style it's written in and the way it feels. The pacing, for me, I really loved it. I know a lot of people said that the pacing seems slow at the beginning of the book and then fast at the end. I personally really liked the pacing of this book. It seemed to flow very well for me, and I really enjoyed it. And like I say, having Robert Jordan's distinctive touch on this really feels like the fantasy series that I grew to love. We continue to follow the Emmenfielders in this book, and we're also introduced to a few new and ongoing characters, which is very interesting. The Emmenfielders, to me, I'll continue to talk about them in a lot more reviews, because to me they are the essential main characters throughout this series, especially Rand al'Thor. So I will continue to talk about them. I like the way it introduces us to new characters though, and ongoing characters. I really like the way he writes his storylines. It tends to follow like a group of characters who are together, or an individual character, and it follows them for a while, then it jumps to another character and it follows their storyline, and it follows to another group of characters, and a lot of times these characters meet up or intermingle, their storylines mix, and it's very interesting when it happens. I like seeing a series of events but from different perspectives of eyes, and that's, if I can speak correctly, I like seeing a series of events, but from different perspectives. It's very interesting. He'll write from one character's perspective, what happens to this event, and then he'll also write from a separate character's perspective, that same event. And I really like the feel and distinctive touches that he puts in there. It's really good. This book also introduces us to some new people and nations. I really like the way these nations have their own distinctive cultures and feelings. It's written so well that when he introduces a character or starts describing a character, just from the character's look and clothing, sometimes their accent and their acting, the way they act, you can kind of tell which nation they come from and which specifically which city they come from sometimes as well. I really like the way it's written in. It's very, very good. The magic system is really explored in this into a lot more depth, and I really love the magic system in this book. It's probably one of my favourite magic systems that I have read in a lot of fantasy series, and in this book specifically, in the White Tower, I also love the politics of the White Tower as well. The politics and storylines there are very, very good. Is my camera in focus? I have to make sure. It loses focus every now and then. So, talking characters, actually, whilst I'm on the power thing, talking characters, I liked Nynaeve and Egwene's storyline. I liked seeing, like I said, them in the White Tower and seeing their politics, their journey with the One Power and how it grows. I won't go into depth about it or details because I want to spoil the book for you. I want you to read it yourself and let me know your thoughts. I really like their storylines. I also like Perrin's. I like seeing the Wolfborough thing evolve. That was brilliant. I loved that. And Randall 4, it was great seeing him. I saw a lot more of Rand in this one. I thought I really got to know the character more. I really did like this book. The one character I would say that I didn't feel much development for, and I didn't really feel much of a relationship with, was Matrim Corfin. I mean, overall in the series, he's possibly one of my favourite characters. Probably is my favourite character in the whole series. But in this book, I just felt a little bit detached from him. I didn't feel like there was a lot of development going on. I didn't feel attached to him at all, really. He almost felt like a friend of a friend, if that makes sense. So you see them, you hang out with them, but their friends are your friend, and you wouldn't really hang out with them individually yourself. If your friend's not there, then you wouldn't hang out with them. So if that makes sense, I think that makes sense. There is a large battle in this book. No spoilers, don't worry, no spoilers. There is a large battle, but I just want to say, RJ, the way he writes battle scenes, I absolutely love it. It feels, and the only word I can describe this, is very cinematic. Now, a lot of fantasy writers, when I read their books and their battles, they tend to focus on one character, and you see the battle from his perspective. So you see like big clouds of dust and storm around you, clashes of metal, shield, wars, fighting, and you see his individual fights. And RJ, the way he's written this battle scene particularly, it feels very cinematic, because it feels like you almost get a bird's eye view, an above view, and you get to see the forces go in and the tactics and how they charge. You almost feel the thunder of the hooves charging and feel the earth shaking as they come past you on the charge. The way he's written it is so well, and I like that he does kind of have that perspective from above, but he also follows a few characters in their fighting, and then follows another character, and then sees above again, and it's a very, very interesting way of writing. Very cinematic. It's the only word I can describe it, is cinematic. The main storyline is still the same. We still have the same story arc. We still have the light versus the dark, the good versus evil. It's essentially the same as any fantasy series, I suppose, really. We still follow that main story arc, and we still have the dark one. But I will say there is a new nemesis, not just that one, there's a new nemesis introduced in this book. I suppose, well, the character was possibly already there in the first book, actually. So, but the development of his character, it develops into a new nemesis, almost as powerful as, or as terrifying, or as scary as the Dark One, believe it or not. I really loved watching his character development and this storyline. It's very, very interesting, especially in his books. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and it gets a huge double thumbs up from me. The Geeky Heathen stamp of approval. I absolutely love this book. I like this book more so than the first book. Like I said, the first book felt like a homage to classic fantasy. This book felt more like the series that I grew to love, and to this day I still love. Rating wise, I'm not going to rate this book individually. I'm not going to rate the rest of the books individually. I'm going to just tell you that I love all the books. They're brilliant for me. I will wait until the very end, once I reviewed all the books, and then I will release a separate video, and it will give you my favourite books in order from my least favourite to my favourite, explaining why. But bear in mind, even though my least favourite is my least favourite, it's still one of my favourite fantasy books out of all my books that I've read. So that's what I'm going to do for rating wise. I'm not going to rate it. I am, however, interested in your thoughts and your comments. Get down below in the comment section. Leave me all your Wheel of Time thoughts. Have you read this book? Have you read the first book? Have you read the series? If you have, try to not do any spoilers for book 2 onwards. I'm trying to make this spoiler free here. I will eventually get to the end and we can have a big massive spoiler discussion, maybe have a live stream or something where we can all get around and have some Wheel of Time talks. But I'm trying to make this review as short as possible. I really hope you enjoyed it. All the YouTubey stuff. Like if you enjoyed it, thumbs down if you don't enjoy it, comment, like, share, subscribe, all the YouTubey stuff. If you want to help out the channel, go check out my Patreon, link in the description down below. But I'm Geeky Heathen. As always, much love. And until next time, stay awesome.